I'm going to be talking about genetics and disease today. So genetics is one of those mysterious words that we read a lot about. So I'm going to try and demystify it and explain how we can take genetics not just to understand human disease, but specifically how to treat diseases that afflict children, and then hopefully put in a pitch for how we need to advance our understanding and educate our children in this complex story. So what is genetics? Genetics is the study of 3.2 billion letters called the human genome, the genetic code of life. It's a simple code. It's 4 letters, A, C, G, T, and C. Okay? So, but unfortunately, 3.2 billion of these letters can be rearranged into a vast number of different sequences, and that's why you're all so very, very different. And such as biology is sometimes that this sequence can get messed up a little bit. So what does 3.2 billion base pairs look like? Well, it's a lot of books. Someone actually calculated if you took the Manhattan phone book, and there's a lot of people in Manhattan, it would be 200 volumes. If I was to stand here and to recite the human genome, A, C, T, T, G, C, it would be the longest TED talk ever because it would go for 9.5 years. I think they'd pull me off the stage a little bit before that. So we package all of this DNA, the 3.2 billion base pairs, into 23 chromosomes. We package that, and we have, if you think about it, we have 2 of these because when we procreate, we split these 2 chromosomes, and we contribute 50% of the man and 50% of the woman to make a child. Now, these are just, this is a schematic of the chromosomes. You'll see the little Y chromosome there, and that's the one that most of us men think with. It's the smallest chromosome there. So we package that, and every cell has all of these chromosomes, and that's the genetic profile of life. That's what's ticking along right now. In my brain, things are telling me to wave my hands. In my eye, they're telling me to look at the slide in front of me so I know where I am, and to walk around because I just can't stand still. Every cell has this packaged set of chromosomes, and that's the code. So I'm going to talk a little bit about genetic disease now. So 3.2 billion base pairs. It can get messed up. It's estimated that every one of us in this room probably may have anywhere between 20 to 50 defects. So let's assume right now that the orange part here is, and I've just put on those chromosomes a little orange mark and a little purple mark, or maybe it may look blue to you in the audience. And you split those chromosomes, the egg and the sperm come together, and you have a 50% chance of gathering each one. So that means you have a 1 in 4 chance of having a child that gets the 2 orange pieces there. So those marks there are just one of the 24,000 genes. Genes are the nuts and bolts that make things called proteins that function in every cell. So we have 24,000 working parts, and we need those to function appropriately. So let's say we contribute there. So then again, so if we just split the other chromosomes here, we have really 2 chances of having a child that carries. But if that purple one is defective in both mom and dad, that child will inherit a broken or defective copy of that gene. That means one of those 24,000 genes is broken, it doesn't work, that child lacks that particular thing. So that means that they could manifest a disease either when they're born or maybe even in later life. So rare genetic diseases, and these are just the names of some of which you may have heard or you may not have actually heard of. So these actually contribute to 30 million Americans have these rare diseases. So is rare when I say 750 children in the United States have the disease I'm going to talk about, Batten disease? Well, cumulatively, if you take Charcot-Marie Tooth disease, which is also rare, and you add all these up, that's 30 million Americans. That's not rare at all. I'm sure most of you in this room have come across an individual that has a rare disease. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Batten disease right now. So just stop and think right now of any 2-year-old or 5-year-old that's very close to you in your life, whether it's your own child, whether you're an aunt, an uncle, or your friend has a child. How vibrant that 2-year-old is or 5-year-old. Okay, I'm saying the 2 ages because these diseases can manifest in different ways in different children. Imagine that child losing their vision. Imagine that child starting to stumble. Imagine that child forgetting who you are. When you pick them up, They no longer recognize your voice, your smell, your laugh, your communication. These children lose that ability. They lose all cognitive ability. They lose the ability to speak. They lose the ability to walk. They lose the ability to swallow. They die. So I'm going to talk about one of the really cool things. This is just a schematic of the progression where this progresses. It's slow. It's like regressing. You lose every facet that you have. So at Sanford, a really smart individual called Jill Weimer, this is 9 months of her life on this busy slide. I'm a geeky scientist. I had to show you one. But what you just need to see here is this is what the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, required us when she cured a mouse of one form of Batten disease. The broken DNA was replaced with the DNA that worked. You can, if you know what's broken, you can take it out of another person, what works, and then put it in a virus, just like the cough or cold sneezing viruses we get, but we make those viruses safe, put it into a mouse, cure the disease. Partnering with Nationwide Children's Hospital, she has now had a clinical trial where 3 children have been treated with this virus correcting this brain disease. That's the power of what we can actually do with research right now, and there are a number of other diseases we want to do that. So I'm just going to finish off now with something completely different. I kind of resisted from the Monty Python cartoon and just put a child there because it's very complicated, 3.2 billion base pairs. We only know what 1% of it does. That's kind of scary, right? So what do we need to do? We need to educate children. So just think, well, I don't want to talk about genetics to a 5-year-old right now, do I? I want to get them interested in science. Well, what better way to do that, maybe, than to say what magnetism is? You know, polarization here. So get the curious minds of children interested in things. So I'm making a pitch here to be a geeky scientist, obviously, and you can make it fun, just like on the video. Mom and Dad, you know how to sort of, you know, that's fun as well. Science isn't intimidating. Science can be intimidating to most adults. So another simple thing here is, and again, for kindergartners, or even adults find this one amusing, just take that egg. These are identical eggs, and you put it in tap water. Put it in salt water, and it floats. That's a fun way to teach density. That's a fun way to get inquiring minds interested. So 3.2 billion base pairs, we got a long way to go. There's 7,000 rare diseases. So I just talked about one. We've treated 3 children. That means we've still got approximately 30 million people to go, correct? So we need to understand this a little bit more because 2/3 of those 30 million are children. 2/3 of those probably won't make it past the age of 10. These are debilitating, horrible diseases. So what I just want to finish on is, well, then you can move on from magnetism and floating eggs, and then biology becomes a lot of interested. Who doesn't want to understand how a tadpole becomes a frog? That's basic biology. That's genetics at work. So then we can ultimately advance that in terms of, okay, how do we teach ourselves to really look at that genetic sequence and understand that genetic sequence, that 3.2 billion base pairs? And it's going to take a pretty big magnifying glass. So I'd just like to finish with the message that working together, educating our children is very important. Most of us, I'm very blessed. You were told I've got 3 very healthy children, and I'm thankful for that all the time. Not everybody's in that situation, and I'm very proud that my 3 children are very interested in pursuing a career in research and science. Thank you.